Okay, make sure you have the loan and ifs worksheet selected. And let's imagine we're buying an expensive computer and it costs $1,850. And you have $150 as a down payment. So what are you borrowing? Well, we know the answer. We can figure out the answer in our head here. But what we really want to do is we want to know B3 minus B4. Of course, it's going to be 1,700, but we might want to change this and say we want to put down 250 instead of 150. But let's start out with it this way. Our interest rate, let's say our local credit union is giving us as a student a good rate of 2.25%. Don't forget the percent sign, that's very important. Click down and you're going to pay it off in 18 months or a year and a half. So our PMT, well, we saw how to write a PMT in class and we could just write it ourselves, but I want to talk about the function box. So I'm going to not do that. I'm going to go to the function box. And I've used PMT and if and average all recently, so they're all sitting here for me. But I could type PMT up in the function here and it'll find it for me. It'll search for it. All right, so the three things that are absolutely required within the PMT are the rate, which is the interest rate, divided by how you pay. Microsoft gives an example of paying quarterly, but we are paying monthly. The NPR is how many payments, and that means how long are you paying? And we're paying for a year and a half, but we're paying monthly. So we're going to need this number 12. And the PV is the present value, or what is it we're borrowing? So our rate is B6 divided by 12, because we pay every month. And our NPR is the number of years times 12, because we pay every month. And our PV is our present value. Now, the nice thing about this is we get an answer when we're in the function box before we even hit enter. And we can see it's a negative number, negative $96.14. And if I want that to show as a positive value, I can say negative B5, and then it shows up as a positive value. Or I can go up to my function itself up here in the function box and type negative, and I again get a positive value. I take it away and it shows as a negative value, or I add it and it shows as a positive value. I don't care which way you do it. Just do it, okay? I have negative PMT. So then we can do the same thing with the car. We have the cost of a car. I don't know. You choose. I'll try to do this the same in class on Wednesday as I'm doing right now. The car is $20,000. We have a down payment of $2,000. So what are we going to borrow? We're not borrowing $1,800. We're borrowing G3 minus G4, which is $1,800. Our local credit union, if it's a new car, will give us a super good, percent, 1.99%. And we're going to try to pay this off in 4 years. So let's go, let's see if we can write this without the function box. So equal PMT, open parenthesis, that rate is our 1.99, but we pay every month. So we have to divide that by 12 because this is an APR. 1.99 is the annual percent, annual being every year. So we pay 12 times a year. Now I need a comma to separate it. And then the NPR is how many number of payments. So I always remember number of payments, NP. It's not what it means, but that's how I remember it. So that's 4, but we pay every month. That's 4 years times 12 months. And then a comma. And our future value, our present value, present value is what we're borrowing. And then I can close my parenthesis, and it's going to show up as a negative number because I didn't put negative PMT or negative G5, but I could put negative G5 here, and it shows up as a positive value. Okay. It doesn't matter to me whether it shows up as a positive or a negative number. We just want a number in there. And when we look in our function box, we see that it did exactly what we wanted it to. These two are optional. They're not bolded, so we don't need to use them. All right. Now let's talk about the if function. I'm going to squish these down so that we have some more space. We don't care about up here right now. All right. Let's see. The first thing we have to do is find the average test score for these students. So this is an easy function. Equal average, open parenthesis. And we want only these 3 test scores. Be careful, don't grab the extra credit information. Only B4 through D4, or 14. B14 through D14. I'm sorry, it's late in the afternoon. I'm getting goofy here. And so this test score is 85% is the average. I've already decreased my decimal. I think that's why it's showing 1 decimal to a 1 decimal place. So if yours shows up as different, you just need to, if it shows up some weird number, just decrease your decimal to maybe 1 point, or you can have no decimals. I don't care. That's fine. I'm going to do it this way. So now we have the if function for if they did extra credit. And if they did extra credit, they get 10% more. 10% more of this value. So we want to just increase this value by 10%, and then we'll see what their total points are. So here is, I'm going to open my function box to get my if function and find my if function. And I have it here. If you don't, just type it up here and tell it to go. But I already have mine right here. And here's the 3 parts. Remember, we talked about these in class. And the 3 parts are separated by a comma. I want to look at this too. So our logical test is if they did extra credit, then they get this 10% more. So if this is equal to, quote, y. We have to put it in quotes because it's text. It's not a number. And you can see we're already getting an answer. This is the beauty of the function box. And what happens if that's true? Which it is, but what happens if that's true? Then they get this times 10%. They get 10% more. And it's already saying, oh, they get an extra 8.5 points. If not, what happens if they don't have the y? Then they don't get anything. They just get 0. And so you can see it's making the function for us up here. It's writing that function for us, separated by commas. We don't put the commas in. It'll put them in automatically. We just put the information in here. Okay? So now our total points, well, this is easy. We just have to, let's first find the answer of all of these, whether they got credit or not. And then let's just add up those points. I'm going to put this in the center. So we have to say whether they passed or not. And this is another if formula. So in this class, we're going to say this is a master's degree. And in a master's degree, you have to have A's or B's. You don't get C's in a master's degree, or you do the class over. So they have to have an 80 or better, or they don't pass the class. Ooh, wow, this is tough. So let's open our function box, because I like writing the function if in the function box. And our logical test is if this is equal to or greater than, well, I think it's greater than or equal to 80, then what happens? Quote, pass. So this is true, this person, so I already have my answer. If it's not true, quote, no pass or fail. What do we want to write? No pass or fail. Or retake class, something like that. But you have to put it within quotes because it's text, not numbers. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to put this in the center. I'm going to pull it down. Whoops, I didn't need to go there. My fault. So we can see who passed and who needs to take the class again, right? It's that if function, separated by commas. All right, if this is slightly different than we did in class, it's okay. You can just do this one. I'm not concerned about which one you turn in next with your assignment sheet. Just do one or the other. And if you have questions, let me know.